Welcome to our season 2 of EmpowerHER Voices, where we are sharing the stories of crime from the Pakistani Nation. And today's episode is about the transformative power of sports, play based learning, and education in shaping resilient communities. And we are honored to welcome today's guest for this episode, Ali Khayam, a visionary development leader and the country director of Right to Play Pakistan. With over a decade of experience in education, youth development, and advocacy, Ali has played an important role in designing and implementing programs that uplift marginalized communities, foster gender inclusion, and create leadership opportunities for young change makers. His extensive works with global organizations such as UNICEF, USAID, Global Affairs Canada, and the Royal Norwegian Embassy has significantly contributed to enhancing education, improving health, and building peaceful communities. And as a passionate advocate for sports and play-based learning, Ali believes in the power of play to break barriers, build confidence, and transform lives. And his leadership at Right to Play Pakistan continues to shape the future of thousands of children, especially young girls, by ensuring inclusive learning opportunities through innovative and game-based educational models. Ali, welcome to Empower Our Voices podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. And I'm excited to dive deeper into your journey, the impact that you've created, and the vision you hold for the future.
Thank you so much for such a generous introduction. I am honored and privileged to be here because I was, looking at some of the work that you have done, and congratulations to you for,
Thank
for
you.
taking up such an important topic and doing it in such an innovative way that you do. So happy to be here.
Great, great, likewise. So, Ali, you have spent over a decade in the development, media, and advocacy sectors, working with some of the most influential organizations. So, what inspired you to take this path, and what key moments shaped your leadership philosophy?
Yeah, so it has been more than a decade. Time flies because, like
Mm,
just yesterday, I was a student of social science, and I think that's how it all started. When you study something and you really start enjoying it, start
yeah.
enjoying designing community development, understanding the different models of social development and how nicely structured and well thought out community development models can help break barriers, can help eliminate the difference between social classes, because see, that's how the ultimate outcome that
Yeah.
we work to achieve. So that's how it all started. Back in 2010, 2009, 2010, when I started my work in the social development, or as we call it, international aid and development industry. um,
Right.
the idea, the motivation was to understand, and first, as a young person, study what social development is, why is it important to uplift
Mm,
communities, why it's essential, why it's absolutely necessary for countries like Pakistan, for communities where
mm,
resources are not equally
mm,
distributed, where you know uh, basic facilities like health and education and
mm.
child and maternal care services are not equally distributed, where there
True.
is massive class difference and
Mm,
inequality that we see everywhere around us. It's important to work through community development, through social
yeah.
development programs, and support governments, because
Mm,
governments not always are enabled to provide services to each and every citizen. So that's
true.
how it all started, and I was lucky
Mm,
to have met some very important and influential leaders and mentors
mm,
of social development, and I was also fortunate to be part of very profound teams who were,
mm.
and particularly Right to Play, because Right to Play is for me, it has been an institution. It has been a learning institution.
Mm,
It has been a school as well, because I started my work at Right to Play as a communications person. It was
okay.
a very
Yeah.
junior role back then, as a
Mhm.
communications assistant, and my job was to go out there in the field areas. We were working in places
Okay.
like Mansehra and
Mm,
Mardan and Charsadda and Takhbai back then, communities and Balakot communities which were recently recovering from either the
mm,
earthquake in 2005, or the IDP situation which was created by
okay.
the
Right.
military operations. So my job was to go in those communities, visit
Mm,
the
mm,
public schools that we were working in, and document some of the case studies and stories. Talk to children,
mm,
talk
mm.
to coaches, to parents, to community members, and that is how
Okay.
I learned and understood the firsthand experience of how this program, the sport and play based development model,
Mm,
is actually contributing to the lives of many children. So
mm,
that was a very life changing experience, when as a young person you go and visit the communities
yeah.
you which as a as someone living in a city, and someone who has the privilege to enjoy
Yeah.
better living conditions, better resources,
Mm,
cannot often relate to. But when you go and sit with those people, when you conduct all the those
mm,
focus group discussions, interviews, when you try to document those things, it gives you a very first hand knowledge.
yeah.
You can live those, you can understand those lived
Mm.
experiences of those people.
True, true. And it's truly inspiring. And what I believe community engagement is actually, I guess there's some internet glitch at Ali's end, so we can just hold on till the time Ali is back. So, what Ali has told regarding the community engagement is no doubt a phenomenal experience when it comes to, learning, and when it comes to actually looking at the ground level problems, because until and unless a person is not there in that certain area where they're supposed to, like, conduct that certain service, like, as earlier said, that Right to Play has contributed tremendously for thousands and thousands of children when it comes to education through sports. And once Ellie will be back, we'll be talking about that, how Right to Play has actually gone for these things. So, but as you know, the sole purpose of starting this series was actually that we wanted to bring in change makers, leaders across Pakistan, so that they can share their success stories, which actually contributed towards women empowerment. And Right to Play organization has actually created a lot of impact, because the areas which Ali has just shared, like Mansera, Mardan, and a couple of other areas which are like, at times, it's a part of rural areas as well as few urban areas. So there, as he has already said, that resources are not equally distributed. And when resources are not equally distributed, then as an individual, we need to play our part. We need to step ahead. We need to join hands with those organizations and with those individuals, like minded individuals who have the vision to contribute and to give back to the community. And this is what, that's why we have named this series as The Triumph of Pakistani Nation. And there's some amazing Jews out there in our nation who are actually doing a lot of significant work. So Ali is back. We're just going to add him back. Okay.
Sorry, it's the internet is
No problem, Ali. I thought once you, like, you're back, I can just share the overall concept of this series with the audience. So, Ali, it's truly tremendous the work that you have done and the work that you're still doing as a part of Right to Play. And as you've already mentioned, that Right to Play has created a lot of impact for thousands and thousands of children by providing facilities which is linked to, sports and education. So this is like phenomenal. And what I like most is that when you said that you started from, social science and then you stepped into community development. So it was all out of passion. And that we can feel as well. When you were saying it, it was something that you love doing. And when you pursue your passion as your career, then it is projected in your overall persona and communication as well. So it's great to know. So Ali, while further taking it forward, like right to play, as you've mentioned that it has significant impact in sports and education. So right to play uses sports and play-based learning to drive positive change in education, right? Health and community development. So can you share a real life story where you have actually witnessed the transformation? I'm sure there must be thousands of stories. So just if you can just share one in which you have first-hand experienced the impact that was there in a young girl or a child through this concept which you guys are taking forward in this organization.
No, thank you. I think I would just like to take this opportunity to share with your audience about the organization. So we are a global nonprofit,
Okay.
and we believe in empowering, educating, and protecting children using the power of sport. And in Pakistan, so this year we are also celebrating our 25th anniversary. The organization was founded in 2000, and in Pakistan
Oh,
we are working
great.
since.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, thank you. There
Mhm.
is a lot more to come. We are planning a whole
Okay.
activities, and I'm sure for some of you will be of your interest as well to cover. So in
Sure.
Pakistan, we are present since 2008, and in this
Okay.
time, have invested a lot of our time and efforts and resources in improving the overall standard of physical education and overall quality of education
Okay.
within government institutions, and also with some private institutions as well. Our
Okay.
work has been focused in the provinces of Sindh and Khyber
Okay.
Pakhtunkhwa, and for the
Right.
last, the Islamabad capital territory as well. And
Okay.
last year we started a pilot program in Lahore. So far, we have reached through our programs, through our regular programs, to over a million children.
Wow.
And of those children were girls. We really take a lot of pride in the institutional and providing technical assistance to ministries of education that we have done. In Sindh,
That's
in
great.
particular, worked very closely with the Ministry of Education and the Secondary Education Literacy Department of Sindh to not
Mhm.
only offer our program, our play-based
Mhm.
learning development program in many of the schools. We have footprints in almost
Yeah.
all the Sindh, but also worked very closely with the school education literacy department and the department of curriculum analysis and research to develop a physical education curriculum, which is developed
Okay.
on modern standards. And
Right.
we take a lot of pride in the fact that you know uh, we, uh, we enjoyed trust of the government institution, a very important government institution. Uh,
Okay.
we're able to work in collaboration with them to work on a policy document. And
Okay.
inshallah, we are now working on producing more material so that that curriculum and the learning
Hmm.
outcomes that it reaches out to more and more children in that province, and also trying to replicate the same work in other provinces. So that's broadly speaking what we do as an institution. But if I break it down,
Hmm.
um, uh, we believe uh, in in holistic development of children, and our philosophy is that play is an essential element in a child's
Hmm.
development, which
True.
includes, when we say holistic development, it includes their physical development, cognitive
Hmm.
development, the spiritual and emotional development of a child,
Yeah.
and all of these essential areas of a child's development are somehow linked to how much they enjoy their experience of playing. When a child plays,
Hmm.
it many barriers. It opens up
True.
many avenues for them to learn. It it helps them create bonds with other children. It helps them
True.
to develop empathy, to develop learning skills, to understand how to
Mm.
work, I understand how to be organized, how to be
Yeah.
disciplined, solve conflicts. How to make those tiny little decisions when they're
Mm.
playing. All of these things are
True.
essential for their development. And we have seen in our line of work that, unfortunately, the orthodox method of schooling, the orthodox conventional method of teaching, where uh,
Mm.
rote learning, there's a lot of emphasis on classroom teaching, where children
Yes.
are involved, where teaching,
Mm.
even as early as grade 1 2, is mostly based on lecture based methods. And we have
Mm.
seen that in most of our public schools, children do not get enough playtime. In fact, we
True.
did some study, which suggested that uh, Pakistani classrooms, average Pakistani classrooms or schools, children get the least amount as compared to other South Asian countries. So
Mm.
children, which is, for us, it's one reason why we see a massive dropout happening at
Mm.
the age of 12, 13, and even as early as
Mm.
7, reach grade 2, because they don't feel attracted towards schools. They don't
Mm.
motivate going to school.
True.
School, to most of them, feels a place which is boring, which doesn't
Mm.
offer incentive. So that's the whole thing, that by integrating regular
Mm.
play into school calendar, into school scheme of studies, a whole school ecosystem can be revolutionized. And we have seen that, as Right to
Mm.
Play, me and my team, we have worked with thousands of schools, public schools, government schools
Mm.
in Pakistan.
Mm.
Have seen within a year, within 2 years of intervention, the entire school environment changing. Teachers,
Mm.
because we spend a lot of time, bulk of our intervention is through teachers, because
Right.
teacher is a central pillar of the intervention.
True.
You know, no
True.
education development program succeed without optimal investment on teachers. So we have
Mm.
seen their pedagogy improves. They, as soon as they learn how to modify, how to upgrade their teaching methodology, by
Mm.
integrating play into it, by making their lessons more activity based, by involving
Mm.
students in the whole dynamic of it changes. So we have seen those impacts firsthand. You asked about the story, uh, and
Mm.
you're right, there are thousands of them.
Yeah, the
And
thousands.
top of my head, it becomes difficult, because you start collecting, and there's a whole
It goes
dance.
on.
Think of how
True.
many people and how many children and young people you have met who have shared their story of transformation. But I think one in particular, because we work in some charity schools in Islamabad,
Okay.
um, some areas, and this was back in 2018, when we were visiting some of these schools to uh, for a program where we were selecting children to
Mm.
take on a learning program to the football World Cup happening in Russia. And
Okay.
I met a girl who was from a minority community, and with a lot of confidence. And surprisingly, we started talking more to this child, and
Mm.
it, that's where we learned that she she had a very challenging history, because
Okay.
her family had to face displacement and some
Oh,
violence as a result of
okay.
uh, communal tensions in that
Mm.
community back in 2012. And as a result of that, her education was disrupted. as a result of that, her she was distracted. She had to face trauma, and it was prior to when Right to Play program started
Mm,
intervention, and just after 1 year of intervention, our you know coaches, our young volunteers who work in the schools observed a lot of positive changes in that child, and
that's
so much
great.
so that so much so that when we were selecting children to go on this very exciting trip to Russia to experience the festivities of a football World Cup, she stood
Mhm.
out. Child who
Yeah.
had a lot of baggage,
Mm,
uh, a lot of trauma. Uh, that child stood out, and she
mm,
expressed most of the confidence that she has. But the agency that she has is because of her regular participation in play,
mm,
the leadership that was given to her during those play lessons, and not only she went on that journey with other children from all over the country, but I think that has kick-started a journey of transformation for her. She now completed her school education. She also then started working as a coach with Right to Play. It's
wow.
also one step ahead of. And I recently met her, and she some years back when we were having some conversations, she mentioned that she wants to be a journalist, uh, a
Oh,
female journalist,
that's nice.
and
Mm,
she wants to highlight issues of her community and highlight the importance of girls' education. And I, just a few weeks back, I met her, and I asked her, and I recall
mm,
that conversation. Asked her if she's still up for it, and she said yes, very much. I'm up for it. I'm trying to complete my education, of course, in an informal manner because uh,
mm.
the family is still somehow struggling with some of.
Okay.
Um, so every time you remember, you recall these stories, you still get goosebumps because these
Mm,
are the young women and girls who uh, who are actually the first recipients of prevention
yes.
and have been able to to make those changes into into their lives.
Wow. So, Ali, it's really emotionally, even it's really rewarding when you are like firsthand witnessing that the work your organization is doing is creating impact in someone else's life, and then that one girl is going to represent the whole generation ahead. So it's really
Yeah,
rewarding, and I couldn't agree more that a couple of the schools, in fact, majority of the schools are following focusing a lot on the lesson delivery rather than on the pedagogy. Even teacher training is being done on how to deliver a lesson, how to deliver the outcome, rather than they are supposed to focus on the student engagement, and which you have elaborated very well that Right to Play is actually inculcating that holistic approach, which is need of the hour. Because gone are the days when the schools are up with the rote learning and there is no concept of concept based learning. Now we need more schools, more institutions, and more individuals as well who can support organizations like yours and other who are doing stuff like this. That we need to step ahead. We need to stop our kids going towards a rat race in which they're just this grade system. Rather, we should assess the child as per his or her own capability rather than comparing him or her with someone else. So this is something which your organization is doing. It is need of the hour, and I'm sure that we have mentioned that more than 1 million kids like you guys have created impact for those, and it's a huge number. And we wish you all the best. And we really need organizations like yours, and I'm sure the couple out there who are contributing. But we as individuals also need to step ahead. So Ali, you mentioned about the girls, about this girl who just faced this, there were some domestic compulsions and constraints, and I'm sure there must be more when you were dealing with other students. So, if we go beyond, like, in many societies, specifically in Pakistan, girls face cultural restrictions and limited access to sports and education. So, from your experience, how can Particularly, mentorship and community engagement help young girls overcome these barriers. That's something that you've already explained, but how this will contribute in building their confidence so that because by keeping in view that we represent the Pakistani culture, we don't want our girls to create a disharmony in their family unit. We want them to have this harmony as well and then go in a balanced approach. So, how this mentorship can actually help them out in this journey? Ali, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got most of questions. I think you very rightly mentioned that we do not create a disharmony or a parallel culture. Uh, you
true,
know,
true,
any development intervention which is superimposed on a community,
true.
which is not aligned with that, is not going to work. That's the
Yes.
very first lesson that we learn in social development. So all
Hmm.
of our interventions are very thoughtfully designed and structured to
Okay.
make sure that work that we're doing with children, whether it's boys or girls,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
very well contextualized. When we
Great.
work with young women and girls in particular, and we have worked extensively on our Sport for Empowerment program
Hmm.
with adolescent girls in communities like Liari in Karachi,
Oh.
in Sindh, we have seen a huge impact because I think sport is an amazing tool to empower young women and girls, and
Hmm.
oftentimes not that easy to explain it to people because
True.
the value of sport, although most of us acknowledge that sport has a lot of power to bring change in an
Hmm.
individual and actively to the society, but how that change or how that transformation actually happens, uh, it oftentimes not that easy to understand. We
Hmm.
have experienced this in our programs. We designed structured sport for development programs, football for development programs, basketball and volleyball for development programs for young girls.
Okay.
And what happens is that you know uh, these these regular activities, it it helps build the agency of young girls. And when we say
Hmm.
agency, it's a compound set of a
Hmm.
lot of
Hmm.
life skills. When a girl child kicks a football for the first time in her life,
Hmm.
that act of kicking a ball uh, in itself, it breaks so many
Yeah.
barriers were which had become part of her personality growing up.
Hmm.
Because in our culture, in many global cultures,
Hmm.
um, in particular are taught to behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
They are
True.
see their bodies in
Hmm.
a manner. Most of them do not get to enjoy a simple act of running or
Hmm.
understanding the physical strength of their body.
Yeah.
How much they can do. So this is something which we observe very early on in our program, that once a girl child uh, starts playing
Hmm.
or football or basketball with other
Hmm.
people, they learn so much about the body. They learn their strength. They learn that uh, they can run freely, because we have seen that when we first engage girls at school level in some sport
Hmm.
and play program, they do not take interest. They're shy. There's so many
Hmm.
there's so many negative stereotypes which have been told to them about playing, about engaging in sports,
Hmm.
about, certain sort of negative
misperceptions about if they go out, if they play, if they jump, if they, certain
Mm.
transformations happen to their body. So once they understand that, once they actually indulge in the act of playing, they enjoy the experience,
Mm.
and they understand that, this is something which, which has a lot to learn from. How the why we do it differently is because we make this the act of play very structured. So
Mm.
we everyone learns from playing, but we give it to a chance. We make sure that
Mm.
we design every play and sports session in a way where a child not only gets to enjoy playing, but
Mm.
at the end of play, every game, every sports based session, uh, we lead an adult facilitated discussion session where,
Mm.
children talk about their play experience. They learn how to, connect that play experience
Yeah.
with their daily lives, with their practical lives. They get to understand, if they learn teamwork during that half an hour,
Mm.
of how to apply teamwork in their daily life. They learn, if they have made decisions in a game,
Mm.
uh, they were
Mm.
involved in a strategy in a game, how to make sure that they inculcate that decision making ability into their personality. Uh,
Mm.
Communicate, uh, such a massive and important skill that we all need. They learn how to communicate. And we have
Mm.
one example, which I often quote, is that as a result of some of our programs, we have heard feedback. We received, some case studies that some girls were able to delay marriages, and that
Mm.
they did simply by, having the confidence to talk to their parents, to negotiate, to
Mm.
get their case in a better way, and present their case that, they don't want anything, outside the ordinary. They just want, uh, those extra 2 3 years where they can complete their education. And
Mm.
because that they know how to articulate, because of the fact that that they know how to build a case and present it to their parents, because they're not saying anything which is a
Mm.
clash with. They're not
True.
saying any, which pose them in any harmful way,
True.
and that's all because of their participation in sport. This is the agency we talk about, that, uh,
Mm.
enabling those young women and girls uh, to have enough agency over their minds and bodies, to be able to uh, to 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 create and design uh, some sort of a future for them, to have a better shot at life.
Mm. True. True.
That is, we have been, this is what the overall impact has been. The program in Liari, which I was talking about, it was the first time ever that we uh, we started a football league, a girls football league in schools, and it was a very,
Okay.
very, very fulfilling experience, because a lot of positive
Mm.
impact came up, and in some
Yeah.
form of the other, continue.
Great, great. And Ali, what you have said regarding building agency, that you said it's like compound set of life skills. So what I can, feel is that everything that your organization, obviously under your leadership, is doing is actually making those girls realize and experience from an early age, not just sports. The way you said that they were able to negotiate with their parents, they were able to communicate with their parents. This is so beautiful that this is something which is going to stay with them for the rest of their life. So it's not just sports, they're actually living it. So this whole experience is very phenomenal in terms of the impact. That's really great. So, Ali, beyond education, leadership and advocacy play a crucial role in long-term societal change. So, what are the strategies that you think that can actually make a woman or the young girls, when they will step into their professional life, successful if they are going to go for it, by keeping in view the cultural or the societal constraints that we have.
Yeah, so you see, in our conversation, I mentioned the word coaching a couple of times. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we have a program where we identify young individuals within the communities, and we invest into their training and capacity, uh,
Okay.
and they they join our team as coaches. um, so uh, we have a huge pool of
Mm.
coaches. I think in
Mm.
and we have worked with over 1,000 of them, and
Mm.
most of these have been young women from communities. And this I'm talking not only in cities, not only in places like Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad, but also in places like Thatta and Sujawal,
Wow.
and Kanpur and Jacobabad. So places like these, young women within those have
Mm.
they assume important leadership roles in those communities. They are
Mm.
the ones who become change agents. So I see
Mm.
a lot of potential there
Mm.
among the group of coaches, because to me they play a major role in not only the delivery of our programs, but bringing
Mm.
a positive, because they become role models because of the
Yeah.
fact that they are from the same community. Young
Yes.
girls can talk with them, can relate to them.
Mm.
They young child in studying in a school in Thatta or Sujawal can
Mm.
relate to a girl from their own community than anyone from a very urban
Exactly.
setting. So once
True.
they look up to them, uh, they
Mm.
also start believing that, okay, if she can do it, I can do it as well.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
that has an impact. Uh, in addition, I think we have a very structured and very robust, uh, you know, leadership program where we do leadership camps. So one of our
Okay.
ex colleagues, Sana Mahmood, who was also the been a pioneer athlete in Pakistan
Mm.
in football. She
Wow.
had the privilege to have her as part of our team, and she was the one who sort of designed and spearheaded that program. So leadership camps, we do leadership camps on a regular basis,
Mm.
and our leadership camps are also, in most cases, sports based. So we
Okay.
take interested applications from all over Pakistan, from young men and girls who
Mm.
want to do more, who are already doing, either playing sports or working
Mm.
as coaches, and we engage them in a week-long leadership camp where they learn um, uh, more about sport for development. They learn
Okay.
about how sport-based development programs can be designed for community development. They learn how to
Mm.
mobilize funds, you know, for their initiatives. They learn more about volunteerism. Um,
Mm.
so, so within the camp, and then they also, you know, learn about how to pitch their stories, how to share their stories to a wider audience, because that's also important. Because there's a lot of great work happening, but people don't know how to present their stories to the outside world.
Mm. Mm.
um, so in that leadership camp, they have a very holistic and 360-degree experience of what all they can do. And most of them, they once they go back to their communities, they either start some of their own initiative, and as a result of these leadership camps, many new initiatives we have seen happening and surfacing
Mm.
in whether it's Gilgit Baltistan or Lower Sindh, or places like Jacobabad, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm.
Um, so this is another model where we train,
Right.
we try to support, and our own method to inculcate leadership among young women and girls.
Mhm. So that's really amazing. And coaching, I do agree with you, is something which is very integral. And the best bit is that you've mentioned that while choosing or training, it's like train the trainer, right? So you're choosing the trainers from that certain society, which makes sense because they can resonate with them a lot more better than you're right than any urban professional who's going to go over there. And this, I guess, they must feel comfortable as well with their own people. And then, as a source of inspiration and role model for them, you're 100% right that they are going to think, okay, if she can do it, I can also go for this thing. So, this is a very great approach to actually pursue towards this train the training bit, and then further, there's a change going on. So, Ali, before that we wrap up, we would like you to share like one piece of advice, though you have shared a couple of advices for the young girls out there who can actually make an impact. If they wish to pursue their path towards empowerment, may it be any field, any age group they are, no matter if they are in their 20s and teenage or 30s or 40s, what is that one piece of advice which you think can actually help them while pursuing towards this empowerment journey? Anywhere, not just for Pakistan, obviously around the globe.
Yeah, it's a it's a difficult, but um, uh, when we work closely with young people, it's not an easy place out there, as a
Mm,
young person. I'm talking about not just Pakistan, but elsewhere as well.
mm,
Uh, there is a struggling economy. Uh,
yeah.
changes happening every day. Young people in particular, um, they have so much aspirations and dreams,
Mm,
but as and young women and girls in particular,
mm,
although life, although a lot has changed, but a lot is still there which hasn't changed, which still makes it
mm,
difficult for to go out, um, to claim their space in public spaces. So a lot of challenges
yeah.
still for them. I think important thing is, for them to stay connected with what they're passionate for, uh, and you know uh, sports is an important tool. Uh, we
Mm,
have many young women and girls to take up sports because, as I said, it's not about becoming an athlete. You know,
mm,
these young children that we have worked with, not every one of them will become an athlete. It's, in fact, I think
mm,
percentage of them which who will go on and take up sports professionally,
mm,
uh, almost negligible. But in the process, the attributes that they learn, that is important. As I
mm,
said earlier,
yeah.
them that prepares them for a challenging life ahead, for the challenges of life. So
True.
at a young women and girls, take up sports. Unfortunately, there are not many. It's easier said than done. In many
Mm,
of the there are still no enough sports-based programs, which is what we always do to the governments, to provincial governments, to school education,
mm,
that there should at least be access to sports. There should at least be an environment, an ecosystem where if a girl wants to play, she has the
mm,
means and resources. Unfortunately,
yeah.
there aren't any. So
Mm,
you
true.
know, and as people who were working either in policy as policymakers or practitioners or in
Mm,
media, yeah, I think it's the responsibility of everyone to keep playing their part as little as possible, because this is what person sowing the seeds, and then with the
mm,
hope that things get better. And I must also acknowledge that a lot of good work has been happening in Pakistan in
true.
different corners.
True.
Many good people, there are many good initiatives there. It's important for young people to also have a know-how of those good programs, and if they
Yeah.
have interest, it's they can reach out, they can always connect to
Mhm.
a program or a leadership program or an education or a sports program, which
Yeah.
is a benefit for them, and which can help them achieve or reach their aspirations.
True, true. What a good piece of advice. Yes, they really need to stay connected. And Ali, it has been an absolute pleasure learning from your experiences and insights, and truly your dedication to empowering youth through education and sports, particularly girls, is truly inspiring. And I'm sure our audience, especially young women and inspiring change makers, will take away valuable lessons from this conversation. And thank you so much, Ali. You took time out, and it was a great bit that you have shared, and we got to know a lot more about Right to Play and what initiatives you're doing apart from the sports itself, the decision making, leadership camps, and the coaching bit. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation, and thank you for giving us this space. And congratulations again to you. Keep up doing this great work you're doing.
Great, thank you. Likewise, and to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Empower Her Voices. If you found this conversation valuable, just don't forget to like, share with your community for more stories of resilience, leadership, and empowerment. So until next time, keep striving for change and making an impact. See you again. Thank you.